urban apologetic show where we serve the underserved and we look into the overlooked. Definitely going to be doing that tonight. Got my friend Abu Kemmer on the line. He is associate of Shield Squad, Apologetic Squad. And I got Dog Justice chilling in the back. Justice, hey! Oops, now you got two signals coming in. You guys let me know about the sound, how it is, how's it going. Since I was a little bit late and I moved the time back, sorry, it's the wonders of being a dad. I'm going to start off with a freestyle just for you, but you don't want to go anywhere. We're going to be talking tonight about a Hebrew Israelite since passed but left his mark, who's not probably as known as he should be. The one and only prophet Yahweh. We're going to show video clips. He claimed to be a master UFO caller. A master UFO caller. I kid you not. So right now with that, you buckle up and get ready. Hit that like button. Grab this link and share it. And you know what? Become a Patreon. Become a subscriber. Do the super chat thing. It helps. Times is hard out here. For real. All right, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into this freestyle. Let's go. Yeah. Brand new beat from Soko. Here we go. Mic check 1 2, yeah. Mic check 1 2, yeah. Mic check 1 2, we coming through. Shout out to D-New and the whole crew of the SA Squad. We rhyme for God, we not a fraud. Like Prophet Yahweh today, Friday, tomorrow, hit the highway, Saturday, better day be Sunday. Jesus the Christ, he's only one way. I drive a Dodge and not a Hyundai. Hey, yo, let's have some fun today. Make apologetics fun again. Chilling in the sun and we ain't got no win, but I got a lot of sin. I fall off the beat and then I come back again with the sample I know you like. Jazz guitar, feeling right with the piano, not a blight. Now we rock it, got an appetite for a coffee. Got to cough, see why I'm so sick. You can't stop me like a red octagon. I'll be gone. Peep it out now, read the book of John in his whole literature. That includes revelation. It'll cause a sensation. Jesus Christ, bring my salvation. Ain't worried about no damnation. Yo. Also don't believe in a UFO unless it's truly unidentified. They said it was an alien, man, they lied. Man got pride, think they get a visit, an able probe. What is it? After they seen one, but they've seen them all. Come on, why they gonna take you in the stall and probe into your ear lobe and plus another hole? It's kinda gross, and if you ask me, those kind of aliens must be nasty, not very classy. UF, rock the microphone, it's an IF object. I will rock it. We don't stop it. Gotta kill the gossip with the gospel. So yeah, what's up? Hello, how you doing? Go ahead, stand up, throw your hands up. Don't be doing no channel. Got that beat, it's warm like flannel. I'm an animal, upon the mic, I'm manable, with the mandible. Got a bowl full of some coffee right next to me, and I drive a jalopy. Go ahead, don't be a carbon copy. Dress it kinda sloppy, that's a dad world. Hello, how you doing? They're out of the world. E.T., man, 1, 2, 3, don't really believe it, see. A lot of mystery, maybe demonic activity, masquerading in the sky, you see. Hey, now that ain't right. Some of those really are just like lights. Some other, it's plain. Some of those are helicopters, some are planes in the sky, maybe from the government. Man, y'all be loving it. I don't mean to grab the mic and boil, but y'all need that hat out of foil. Rockin', we bring the doctrine for you blocking, never stopping, do the whopping. Yes, y'all with electroshocking. Freestyle and locking. Batman, he's on the block again, chillin' next next to gargoyle. Vocab Malone, you know I got the oil. Why? Because Italian type of guy. Sicilian, OLIVE, olive. Call this Vocab Malone. Yes, indeed. No stopping this unless the beat stops, and then we do get to stop it, and then we got to start the show because the show's going to start right here, and here we go right now. All right, welcome to Street Apologists Live. I hope you already subscribed. What's up? Shout out to DJ Fidel Castro, a.k.a. Richard James in the house. Yeah, I remember a couple dudes like that. My man, he's talking about a 5%er we used to know back in the day. Yes, it did. And check it out. I got my dog Justice in the back. Sorry I got started a little bit late. It's like the life of being the dad. I didn't know that I was going to let one of my kids' friends stay the night. And so I got an extra mouth to feed. And so instead of just throwing a meal together, I made a little something different. It caused it to go long. But they were like, oh, this chicken's good. You know, blah, blah, blah. So it's all worth it. But now everyone's mad at me. But you know, we got a great show coming up. I'm going to start off right now playing a clip. And after I play this clip, I'm going to bring in my man Abu Kammer. But we're just going to get right into it and play a clip. Be sure to share this link. Be sure to comment. Be sure to hit that like button. Do all that kind of stuff. Let me find this this first clip here. And we're going to explain why this is important. We're not just doing random weird stuff. We're going to explain as we go on how this is an apologetic issue. Okay? We're going to explain why it matters. And we're gonna explain why you should care, okay? So we're gonna talk about this stuff and how it all relates to apologetics and all that. So if it's unclear or whatever, but we also have fun as we learn. You know, we'll also have some fun as we learn. So let me go over here to here and let me see if this is the first thing I'm gonna show. Hey, all right, just give me a second here. I got a couple of videos lined up for you guys. Okay, here's this one. This one's pretty good right here. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna have to make myself a little smaller. Okay, now right away, this is a Prophet Yahweh video, and right away we're starting off a little bit odd, as you could imagine, because the name of this show, and this is about an 11-year-old video at this point, the name of this show is Obama UFO TV. Prophet Yahweh production. Now, a lot of Hebrew Israelites, when Obama was coming out, were pretty anti-Obama. I talk about it in my book, actually. One of the reasons is because they viewed him as an African imposter because of who his father was. And who his mother was, of course, didn't much help either. So this guy was different. Prophet Yahweh was different in a lot of ways. Here's one of the ways. He said that people needed to vote for Obama. And he believed that Obama was going to be the only solution against a bunch of things, such as coming martial law, even though, in my view, Obama ended up increasing the power of the federal government and things like that. So that's an odd proposition. He had a different view of rights, I believe, than I think a good, strong libertarian conservative should, but that wasn't his position in the first place, so it makes sense. So he also believed in some way that Obama was going to be the one that could have the right relationship with the coming aliens. I didn't fully understand his logic on this, but he actually had a campaign sign that said aliens for Obama. So without me going on further, let me just show you this first video. We're going to play some of it, but here's your introduction to Prophet Yahweh. All right. Let's line this up. Can you guys hear this good? Can you guys hear this? This is directly from his YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah. Here I am. Y'all, oh, it's time? It's time? Oh, man, that's great. Let's do this, man. We got great news. Everything looking wonderful. We're finna be the...
All right, so he's an interesting guy right away. You know, dresses a little bit different than a lot of Hebrew Israelites. He does keep a beard. Has more books than probably most Hebrew Israelites have, although don't know what kind of books those were. Older man, obviously. And let's see what he's about.
Live to the world.
And I recognize that
Come on, brother.
The sound is more panned to the left. Now watch what he has outside of his house. You guys ready? Check this out. This looks like he lives in Phoenix. I guess he lived in Nevada, but man, this is exactly how Phoenix houses look. Check this out, everybody. You're going to dig this. Spaceships for Obama. There's a campaign sign you probably didn't see during the election, you know. no 2008 election at this point, but he actually put it up right in his own backyard and did a setup. So he was serious. He was dedicated to this, right? He was seriously dedicated to this. I mean, I appreciate this. He printed out a little banner, put it over the metal. You know, he's got a situation where he's got metal over there, just like I do. You know, and let's see what he says here. Let's see what he says.
Hallelujah, Yahweh. This is Prophet Yahweh, seer, the most holy and wonderful Yahweh, coming to you.
So he called himself a seer. So it's just an old kind of way to say you're a prophet. And just so everyone knows, we're going to explain this later. He's not saying he is Yahweh. What he's trying to say with his name, Prophet Yahweh, is that he's a prophet of Yahweh. So here we go.
October the 30th, 2008.
2008. So it's 12 years ago. So he's campaigning for Obama here, as well as he wants all the spaceships to also be for Obama.
I just want to give you an update. Okay, first of all, you know my prophecy. Well, those of you all who know my prophecy, let me reiterate it.
Yes.
Starting tomorrow, October 31st, until November the 11th, a spaceship is going to descend and sit right up over this school here, where I teach people how to summon out on the platform.
Okay, so there's a lot of weirdness right there. This is a school, he's saying, and he teaches people how to summon spaceships and UFOs at this school, which is clearly his house. And his prophecy is that in October to November of 2008, a spaceship's going to be there and float. This is going to happen. Okay, so you guys following along so far?
Now, I have a very strong feeling about tomorrow, which will be the very first broadcast, that the ship will descend.
So these are real prophecies. So he definitely has the characteristic of a Hebrew Israelite who makes false prophecies. And when I say Hebrew Israelite, I especially mean, although lately the moderates have been getting to this 400 years thing, I especially mean of the One West variety, because a lot of their prophecies directly relate to UFOs. Okay, we're going to talk about that tonight. You are going to learn a lot tonight. Yes, we'll have a little bit of fun in the sense of people are interesting people. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, let's get into this.
If not, my prophecy covers me all the way to November the 11th.
My prophecy, it's like an insurance policy, literally. My prophecy covers me all the way to November 11th. So the thing is, though, he can go out of his house anytime between October and November, right? Point a camera or phone up in the sky and see something up there. If you live in a city, it's going to happen. So he's got this massive time window. He's already building an insurance policy. He's not saying it's going to come and stay the whole time. Okay? Just want to make that clear.
Regardless if it shows tomorrow or not, and I got a strong feeling about October 31st.
Regardless if it shows tomorrow or not. I'm sorry, I actually had not listened to this whole thing. I didn't realize that there is a lot more humorous than it was. This show is going to be a long show. It's going to be hard to get. It's going to be hard to get through. Yeah, isn't it, Dino? Yeah.
This is going to shake up the world. Oh, man.
He's looking already. This
is going to be magnificent.
He's hoping to heaven's right now.
What you all are preparing to witness is going to be amazing. It's going to be mind-blowing. Just give it the time period. You know, don't worry. This is going to happen. But it's not going to happen for me. It's going to happen because of the Creator, Yahweh.
If it's not going to happen for him, why is it descending upon his school? What I would prefer is that maybe it should descend right over the White House or something. Sister Sleepy says that she thought she saw a UFO once, but then she woke up and realized it was just a dream. You know, I respect that. Thank you for coming forward with that information. And man, who is responsible for this? Look at the avatar for. See, I know people don't. They take all humor as a certain way. But I like good-natured humor where you're not really making fun of the way somebody looks and things they can't help per se, more like these kind of benign characteristics and maybe things that are endemic to related to their beliefs and stuff. But he got sleeping pills as the avatar. Who does this? Oh man. Praise.
Not all these other names that you all call on, not all these other names that you all associate with the name Yahweh and claim that Yahweh is. Not all these names of the gods that you say preceded Yahweh, which is a lie. But only and exclusively in the name Yahweh, the creator of all things, a superhuman black man who lives on another planet.
The creator of all things, a superhuman black man who lives on another planet. If this isn't the black version of Mormonism, I don't know what is. But this is it. You know, one thing I like about him, though, at least he gets God's divine name basically right. The Tetragrammaton, from what we know, would have been pronounced something much more like Yahweh than any of the other names you hear. Maybe you could say Yahweh, you know, I guess. Thank you, D-New. That's right, Yeshaya Yaiquab 144. D-New's information is correct. Just check out what she's got. But we're going to get into that as well.
He's preparing to have his angels who are black too.
Now notice that's Nation of Islam stuff. That's also One West stuff. So we don't know the direct connections he had with One West. But a lot of what he is about is like a more bizarre version, if that's possible, of One West eschatology.
The sin, on more than one occasion, real soon, in spaceships.
Okay.
The first ship is going to be higher up than the second ship. Mm-hmm. The first ship is a sign that everybody is supposed to vote for Barack Obama.
So this isn't take me to your leader. This is I'll tell you how to elect your leader. This is epic. I mean, I wish I knew about this in 2008, okay? This man is saying that he's not going to, you know, just get the endorsement of Joe Biden or somebody. Obama was going to get the, you know, endorsement of Kal-El. You know what I'm saying? He's going to get the endorsement of alien astronauts. Okay. I mean...
Yahweh's choice. Yahweh, the creator of all things, sees what's preparing to happen. And he knows that a tremendous suffering is coming over all of us, man, and our families and our children. And the king is going to go according to the way he's always gone, the way that's been suggested for him, having voted 90% of the time for George Bush, while claiming he stood up against Bush, or he did this and while he was in Congress 20-some years. You never heard him crying out loud to America that things were going wrong. He did just enough to cover himself, and by putting out some paperwork or something that if he's ever checked on later, he could say, well, I sent the paperwork here saying this.
All right, I'm going to skip around a little bit on this. Okay, Justice. Thank you, Justice. Thank you.
Yahweh, the Creator, wants you to vote for Barack Obama.
All right. Obama UFO TV, Obama-UFO.tv, Prophet Yahweh at yahoo.com, UFOTVnews.org, UFONewsAgency.org, the end. All right, you heard it there first. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually introduce you to the man who, guess what, introduced me to Prophet Yahweh. Welcome to Street Apologists Live, my man Abu Kamer. How you doing, bro? It's good to hear your voice. And let's talk about it, bro. I'm gonna get a little graphic.
Good evening. Good evening. I gotta say, this is already a very entertaining show. That was your most entertaining freestyle at the start. This video, while you introduced me by saying that I'm the one who introduced you to Prophet Yahweh, I didn't know about this video. Although it's a testament to how Obama inspired a lot of people that might not otherwise be into mainstream politics. I remember the Five Percenter School had a Obama Biden poster out front. Even Tazadakia, while he didn't fully endorse him, he was telling people, hey, we don't know if he's a Hamite or not. Let's give him a chance. He's inspired a lot of people, including apparently Prophet Yahweh. So that was a fun video, and this is going to be a fun show. And I mean, this is the first time I've even seen Justice get excited about a topic. So it's good.
Yeah, well, Abu, since you were the one who discovered Prophet Yahweh, tell everybody how you discovered him.
So a little over a decade ago, his followers, for whatever reason, wanted to get in. Well, I guess because they consider themselves Israelites and their teacher was an Israelite. They wanted to get into starting arguments with not only Israelites, but whoever it was that was arguing with Israelites. So, I was occasionally going into, my focus has always been sort of the One West spectrum. His followers would pop up in the comment sections of videos and would try to fight with both sides, try to fight with the One Westers and then try to, or pick fights with, let's say, someone from a Christian perspective who was critiquing the One Westers. And they would push these. They would basically support Prophet Yahweh, as he's called, Ramon Watkins. And
by the way,
it was a wild time.
That's Prophet Yahweh's real name. We're not necessarily big fans of calling anyone Prophet Yahweh.
Agreed.
But his real name was Ramon Watkins. But when you called him Ramon Watkins, what did he say to you?
He responded by saying, my name is not Ramon. That's a Hispanic name. And he angrily said that. And he had his name legally changed to Prophet Yahweh. I remember when he took the James Randi's challenge, they refused to call him Prophet Yahweh. And apparently he showed his driver's license and they changed their tune. They were like, all right, if that's your legal name, then.
So he legally did change his name to Prophet Yahweh, Abu.
Yeah, I learned that from the James Randi people when he took their challenge, I guess a decade ago.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about that, because while you're talking, I might bring up the Rational Wiki page, because I guess that's relevant. Talk about
quite a lot of information there.
Yeah, what's the deal with the James Randi stuff and Prophet Yahweh, since that is his legal name there, Abu? What's the deal with that?
So James Randi was a magician who was dismayed by various psychics who were, claimed psychics, people who claimed to have supernatural powers. He felt they were deceiving people, and he used to tell people that you need to be trained in the art of deception to understand how they're deceiving you. He himself was a professional magician, so he was, well-versed in the art of deception. And so he put up this challenge. Originally it was $10,000. By the time Prophet Yahweh came on the scene, it was $1 million, where if you could demonstrate supernatural powers, he would give you $1 million. Prophet Yahweh originally took the challenge. He was supposed to summon a UFO. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth. As I understand it, I don't think it ever came through, that he never took the challenge or something like that. But there was a lot of discussion, and it was popular. And that's when it came out that he had legally changed his name, because he used to get infuriated when people would call him Ramon. And they insisted on calling him Ramon Watkins, not Prophet Yahweh. And that's when he produced some ID for them, which they confirmed they had seen, that he had his name legally changed. And that was that.
Well, let me see here if I can. I'm going to bring up on the screen here, Abu, the Rational Wiki entry here. By the way, can everybody? It looks like they can hear Abu fine. It looks like everybody can hear you. And
Praise
just
God.
Let me know, everybody, if Abu needs to be louder or quieter or anything in between. I'll turn him up just a little bit. I have a suspicion he might need to be a tad louder. And hopefully there's not too much noise in the background. And let's bring, I'm going to share my screen here. And maybe you could talk about some things. First of all, if you could explain what Rational Wiki is. And also if you could talk a little bit about some of the interesting things that you found on Rational Wiki about Prophet Yahweh. Because there's not a lot out there about him until you really start looking. And then you actually do find a lot of stuff. And this is one of the sources that's a pretty good one. So go ahead, break it down.
See, well, the interesting thing is, from my experience, I only encountered him within the Israelite spectrum. And I honestly felt like there was nothing about him within that spectrum. But it's interesting that although he sort of moved within the Israelite spectrum, although outside of One West, it's nonetheless far outside of the Israelite spectrum that he's known. There's far more about him within circles about, people that are interested in UFOs and aliens, so-called ufology. And Rational Wiki, I'm not very familiar with it, but as I understand it, it's a sort of equivalent of Wikipedia. It's an online encyclopedia for skeptics, for people who are skeptical about supernatural claims, people interested in atheism, and I guess also stuff like cryptozoology and ufology and these other sort of fringe.
You explain? You were exactly right with what you just said, but could you explain, define? I know these terms because I've been kind of looking into this now. I'm not going to say I was super familiar with them now, but what's cryptozoology and what is ufology?
So cryptozoology is the attempt to study, I won't say the study, but it's the attempt to study, it's attempt to engage in zoology with creatures that mainstream scientists do not agree exist. So you'll have quite an industry of discussion on what species the Loch Ness Monster is, the physiology and species of, let's say, Bigfoot, and so on down the line, or the chupacabra and so on, and other creatures like that are, outside of the mainstream, not recognized as actually existing. And that's what cryptozoology is. It's the zoological study of creatures that are apparently hidden, hence crypto, at least hidden from the perspective of those who believe that they exist. And then also within that realm, there's a mild overlap with ufology, this, these elaborate beliefs about creatures that exist in other planets, other galaxies, and the idea that they're visiting us, and so on down the line. And there's quite a few people out there that have very elaborate beliefs about what's out there, multiple species and so on.
All right, well, let's read through this. That was an excellent explanation there, Abu. Prophet Yahweh, Roman Watkins, 1952 or 1953 to 2014, more famously known as the Prophet Yahweh, apparently his legal name. I like that little concession there. Or the Seer of Yahweh, that's one of his titles, was a Las Vegas man, they should have put in there, was a Las Vegas showman, right? Who claimed to have the ability to summon UFOs using passages from the Bible. He said that he had developed this ability after studying the Old Testament in its original Hebrew form and gaining knowledge related to UFOs from his studies. Now, Abu, what did Prophet Yahweh claim the Hebrew Bible was in its original form? This is going to get a little tricky, but let's not try to be too tricky, but I think you know exactly what I'm saying. What was the original form of the Hebrew Old Testament according to Ramon Watkins?
Now, I want to be very careful here to say that they weren't always consistent. So I'm not saying this position that we're going to describe was necessarily a position he always held. But when I interacted with him and his followers between 10 and 12 years ago, they didn't believe in the New Testament, but they were not Tanakh only. Rather, they claimed to essentially be J-source only, which is to say that
so let me stop you right there real quick. This is not to interrupt. Everyone, don't get mad at me because I'm interrupting them. We are trying to make sure we explain things. So when we say the Tanakh, everybody, we are essentially saying the Old Testament, but this is the way that a faithful Jew might say it, for example, because they don't believe there's a new covenant or New Testament. So they might say Tanakh, which is essentially sort of abbreviated acronym or whatever, whichever way.
The Hebrew Bible, we could call it. Yeah.
Hebrew Bible, whatever. All right. Now, mainstream, which tends to lean what we might call theologically liberal or higher critical type scholarship, has embraced a lot of them, something called the documentary hypothesis. And the documentary hypothesis is the idea that Moses did not author any, or probably more likely from their view, any of the first 5 books that are commonly attributed to him. By the way, I just want to make you guys aware that Jesus, for example, did attribute them to Moses. But they would say that's not the case. Instead, there's multiple sources which are layered in between each other in these kind of strandy kind of literary ways, which build upon each other. And if you know the proper clues to look for, you can usually determine whether it was a Yahwehist source, an Elohist source, or a priestly source, for example. What is it, JEPD or JEDP? I always get it backwards. I think it's JEPD.
Either way, but JEPD, priestly, and then Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy.
So he is embracing this idea, which, as you can hopefully tell, is most people would see that are confessional as being destructive to a historical view of the scripture, right? But here he is embracing this view, and he's saying this is the original form, and he would claim he's only drawing from the J or the Yahwehist source. Okay, there's a prophet of Yahweh, but he wasn't always consistent with that. Now, what else do you want to say about that, my man?
Well, that's what. So, as you said, it was a skeptical speculation, or a critical speculation, that the Torah was a redaction of multiple sources that originally belonged to different cults. So you might have the Yahweh cult, and then you have the cult of El, and that the belief is that the Torah was later redacted and pulled these sources together. He bought into that, apparently, and his students would really push it and insist, first and foremost, that they only hold to those texts that come from the so-called J source, the Yahwist source, But more importantly, the reason why this was important to them is because they bought into the idea that El is the name of a pagan god. And now, as you mentioned, they weren't particularly consistent with their application of this claim that they only held to the J source, because they would delve into other sources, that scholars, proponents of the documentary hypothesis would not say as part of the J source. And what they would do is they'd literally rewrite parts of the Torah to remove El, and they just throw in Yahweh. So, verses that have El or Elohim or some variant of that, they would throw in Yahweh. And I remember he had a student who was called Servant Yahweh, and he too insisted that it meant servant of Yahweh, but they don't use the preposition. And he had his own version of the Shema of Deuteronomy 6:4, where instead of Eloheinu, they would say Yahwehnu.
Well, can you explain like how would the full sentence go?
So if we're rendering the Tetragrammaton, the name of God as Yahweh, the Deuteronomy 6:4 in Hebrew would read Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, listen Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, right? Yahweh is our God, Yahweh is one. But Eloheinu has the word El in it. And because they claimed that El is the name of a quote-unquote pagan god and was quote-unquote satanic, which is interesting because obviously Satan doesn't come up in the J source to my knowledge. But whatever the case, they would accuse any reference to El of being satanic. Then they claimed that was a corruption.
Sorry, that's a funny point, by the way. I wouldn't have thought of that myself, but you bringing that is like one of those humorously ironic kind of points. Good point with that. And this is not identical, but similar to what we see a lot of other Hebrew Israelite type of leaders do. The best example I'll give at the top, of course, is GOCC Rakah, who says that the idea that this name that the other camps use, which they call God Yahweh, and then of course Yahushai, they believe it's based upon a demonic corruption by fraudulent Jews, and so because of that, and of course that's totally been confirmed, by the way, and Illuminati too, which, as we all know from Rakah, is a primary source. And if you don't taste the jest in that sentence, that I cannot help you. But nonetheless, that's a perfect example, and so it ends up allowing you this secret track to inside knowledge as well, as kind of demonstrates a little bit of this idea of you're kind of ahead of the curve in that. But real quick, I'm going to give a resource from yesteryear, as it were, but that is still legit and helpful, because if we're not really covering this today, but if you want some help on this, there are some resources. So let me real quick show one on the screen. And by the way, you can get Logos at a discount if you use the promo code that should be floating around here somewhere. I don't have it right now. And you'll get 10% off, and you can get Logos Bible software plus free 5 books if you use my name, Vocab Malone 8, all caps. I just want to show you this resource that I have on Logos. It's called The Mosaic Origin of the Pentateuchal Codes by Gerhard Voss. He was at Princeton Theological Seminary. This is an older resource because that was when this theory was kind of first dropping and hot. But you can tell by the chapter titles over here, really good stuff. I mean, it ends up with, did Moses write the laws? But you've got objections answered, internal evidence of the Mosaic origin of the Deuteronomy Code, unity of Deuteronomy and the laws of the intermediate books, internal evidence of the Mosaic origin of the laws in Exodus, Numbers. So just kind of showing you this that I think is very helpful. And a shout out to Coco JC4E for the super chat. Thank you very much. I learn from you, David Wood, and Sam every day. Thank you so much. And now you get to learn from Abu. So there's other books on this, and I might give a shout out to some other books that give evidence for the unity of the Pentateuch as well as the Mosaic authorship. But there's one I just wanted to give real quick because this is one that I just got, even though it's an old school book. Okay, flipping back over. So they're
I think the Rakah analogy was phenomenal.
Okay.
The Rakah the GOCC analogy is great because they too are forced to constantly change text. And with as far as Prophet Yahweh's followers, 12 years ago were concerned, they did that most hilariously with the Shema. So as I was saying, the word Eloheinu appears in the Shema. That's the word Elohim with the possessive suffix on it. So they changed it to read Yahwehnu because they would throw Yahweh anywhere where El was. So they would say Yahwehnu when reciting the Shema. They would say Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Yahwehnu, Yahweh Echad.
No doubt, no doubt. Thank you,
No doubt.
Jamie Russell, for the super chat too. Jamie, stick around. We do a freestyle whenever we get enough super chats. So I'll try to do one at the show today at the end. Watkins was born in Memphis, Tennessee. He briefly attended Tuskegee Institute on a basketball scholarship. And it's interesting, if you watch any videos where he's standing next to anyone else, he is very tall. Very
Indeed.
tall stature man. I don't know his exact size, but in one of the videos that I put from that documentary, when he raised his hands above the other guy, he had to be. I mean, I'm not going to say a foot taller than the other guys, but he was a tall guy. So you know what I'm talking about there, right? Briefly attended Tuskegee Institute on a basketball scholarship before accepting a football scholarship to Southern Illinois University, where he joined the ministry. So he has some college education, and that's maybe where he got a hold of these ideas, because these ideas are taught in intro classes at most secular schools. The ideas we brought up, whereas you don't see most Hebrew Israelites embracing them or tossing them around. Prophet Yahweh, even though people would want to maybe laugh at him because of some of his outlandish ideas, it's interesting. He had some exposure to higher education, and even though we don't agree with the documentary hypothesis, just the fact that he had access to it is interesting to say the least. His first radio ministry was on WYZE in Atlanta, Georgia in 1978. So he's been putting in work for a while. In 1981, he began his first cable television program. In 1996, he began airing a UF cable TV show in Los Angeles, California. In 1999, he claimed to have had a dream instructing him to move to Las Vegas. On August 1st, 1999, he began broadcasting his cable television show, Prophet Yahweh, UFOlogist. In one radio show interview, Prophet Yahweh explained how his grandfather was a Freemason, and when Prophet was little, taught him many secrets about the church. On many occasions, Prophet also explains how life was like back in the day. I was raised, busted, disgusted, but I could be trusted. So to those who don't know, it's a common thing from the sort of, I guess, maybe kind of boomer urban generation. I don't know how to describe this. To say I was busted, disgusted, couldn't be trusted. Especially like if you're in the circles I run in, when someone maybe gives their testimony of how they were before they came to Christ. You always hear this. I was busted, disgusted, and couldn't be trusted. I wasn't in the dumpster. I was under the dumpster. This kind of thing that people will say. I was beat up from the feet up, toe up from the flow up. So anyways, he's got that lingo, but he's saying I was busted, disgusted, but I could be trusted. Which this is a guy that claims he summons UFOs. It seems like him being trustworthy is probably not, all I can say about him is he's tall. Also, as described from his Yahoo bulletins, so this is from people who follow him back in the day, Prophet Yahweh got caught up in drugs during the 60s. Now, there's a video where he says it took him about a decade to get off heroin. So he admits he was on heroin, and I don't use that against people, okay? And later embraced the homosexual lifestyle. However, he was once again a heterosexual and happily married to an African queen. African queen is a little bit interesting. You don't usually hear Hebrew Israelites use that terminology, but they sometimes will. But obviously, there's a multiple levels of influences here. Before I go on to his claims in theology, what do you want to say about his biography there, Boo?
Well, real quick about the African queen thing, it's mainly One West that's hostile to Africans, so he clearly, being outside of One West, he doesn't need to be hostile to Africans. Regarding him describing himself as a quote-unquote reformed homosexual, because his followers would pick fights with members of GMS, not in the streets but online, they seized upon that. And if you'll forgive the language, you know how GMS usually has these colorful insults. They insisted on referring to him as Prophet Gayway. And they seized on the fact that back then he used to have instructional videos on the health benefits of enemas, and he had videos of himself in a bathtub giving himself enemas, and so GMS followers seized on that to mock him, Now,
see, why did you say some of this stuff for the show? Because we had talked about this, and you told me that he's really big. Okay, hold on. A shout out to Yeshaya Yaquab 144. I'll be contacting you soon on Facebook. I was a 2-year Sakari member. Okay, well, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for the super chat. Why you say this for the show? Because you had told me, okay, that he was big into the health benefits of enema, but you didn't tell me in this context, and you did not tell me there was videos of him in a bathtub giving himself enemas.
I'm sorry. I thought I had told you that. I apologize for leaving that out. I guess our conversations are a little freewheeling, but yeah, there was videos of him in the bathtub, and so GMS followers were seizing on that, taking the clips and using it to mock him, to imply that to continue to jab at his orientation.
Have you seen Thank you, Karen Fisher, for the super chat as well. You guys are doing nice and steady tonight. Thank you, and I do hope to hear from you, Yeshaya Yaquah. By the way, have you seen one of these videos where he's giving them?
Oh yes, I saw them. I saw one of these videos. I found out about the videos from GMS. They were doing their own little detective work, and they were the ones who uncovered it. From my perspective.
Oh, okay. Shalom Holmes, private eye for Yahweh Shai. Once again, he strikes again. Okay. Okay, so Prophet Yahweh espoused a similar belief system to that of previous claimed contactees and founders of UFO religions. Now, by the way, I never looked much into this, everybody, UFO stuff. I specialize in urban whatever, but I might be doing more of it because I didn't realize how many... I knew there was
a huge field.
I never realized how big and how many religions are not just have UFO elements to them, but like talk about the Raelians and stuff, however you pronounce it, whole religions based upon UFO stuff alone.
Mm-hmm. Heaven's Gate, many of them.
The Theosophy folks, and I mean that'd be an interesting study to do of black Theosophists. You know what I'm saying? So this is big stuff, okay? And we're going to talk about it. And founders of UFO religions stating Yahweh and his angels are extraterrestrial beings and UFOs are the manifestations. Okay, now, that's a common thing. What's interesting, though, is a lot of the Christian researchers who get into this, what they do is they will say a lot of these manifestations, or when people claim to be abducted, a lot of Christian researchers end up saying these are actually demonic manifestations masquerading as aliens. And they relate it to yesteryear, where people would claim to have these contacts or relationships with fairies, say in the medieval era. But now they say it's sort of transferred because of the culture into UFO stuff. Now, I'm not against that because I believe in spiritual warfare, including angels and demons. And I don't like everything Heiser does, but I respect Heiser, and I do like the fact that he's made it mainstream in some ways, again, to make sure that we recognize the supernatural elements to scripture and the unseen realm aspect to it, to use that kind of terminology. That's good, and I think we just need to recognize that and say that is what it is, right? Okay, and I will look for you, Yeshaya Yaquab, on Facebook. So thank you again for the super chats. I really appreciate it, man. Seriously, I greatly appreciate that. Good night to you, family, as well. Okay, so my as I've been looking into this, Abu, and I don't know if I know you're not the expert on this, but you always have interesting things to say. My thought is some Christians are too quick to believe self-reported abductions and sightings by people. And so they'll say, oh, the aliens said this. So I'm talking about Christian apologists and Christian researchers who sometimes get into this. My initial thought is some of them are too quickly to believe what these folks are saying. And I think we need an intermediary that sorts out the sightings that can be explained by natural phenomena, as well as some of these accounts and reports that are clearly fraudulent, okay? I think we need an intermediary, and some of that intermediary comes, I think, from people who have an understanding of more science in their background. Not only, but sometimes. And so I think we need to do that and do a better job at that. And so some of the books I've been reading on this that I appreciate most are written by people who have a background in creation science. And that's good, because I don't think we should chalk up every experience and say, well, these are demons. Because why are we believing all these self-reporting things? I think it's a much, much lower rate of ones that are actually, and I'm going to say this, unexplainable. And see, just because it's unexplainable at the current time, ladies and gentlemen, does not mean that it cannot be explained. Now, first of all, I don't believe in UFOs or aliens at all, in the sense of, beings from other planets. And what I mean is aliens inhabiting UFO craft. Obviously, I believe in UFOs, unidentified flying objects. But it's a leap of logic, as well as a number of other things, to say these are automatic aliens. And then when you start talking about ETs, extraterrestrial beings, don't believe in those, don't think they fit with the biblical worldview. Now, with all that being said, I just think we need to be very careful. So Christians to the live chat, don't too quickly believe these reports, and don't quickly say demons, demons, demons. Now, I think it's possible, and I think there's some instances where we can make a case of potential demonic activity. But even then, we weren't there. We don't know. This isn't scripture. I think all we can say is this one is not explained by any of the normal means of explaining these things, and this is a possible explanation. I think that's where Christians should be. I think we should be the most skeptical and the most wise and thought out about this out of all people. So that's just kind of as we go on, I just want to put that out there, because if I start getting more into this, I'm going to dive deep, and I'm going to go hard. I'm going to be very careful on it too. So Abu, off the cuff, I know it's not your bag, but speak on it, bro.
Well, I was going to say, to add to what you said, at least a little bit of a healthy dose of skepticism would also be helpful. There's be open to the possibility that some encounters, some accounts are simply made up. I'm sorry, but some people are simply making it up.
I think it's a lot, bro.
Yes. Yeah.
I've been looking
I was trying to be polite. Yeah.
This ufologist, these contactee, this field, a lot of these people are shown to be frauds. A lot. And I mean, we've got examples when they get down to the nitty gritty, where some of these people actually built models. They literally built models and took doctored video footage and put it out there like it was real. And no matter how many times it gets debunked, like, look, this comes from a stovetop cooker top. No matter how many times these things get debunked, people are still like, well, no, that's it's true. They won't allow any of the evidence. But we need to really we need to be wise on this. So I might get
also
more
to
into
be
this. Go ahead.
Also, to be familiar with how many fraudulent instances of that there were in the past, to have a sense of the full catalog, because as time goes on, as technology falls more into the hands of the people, CGI is going to become democratized, and the frauds are going to be harder and harder to identify in the coming decades.
And deep fakes. And guys,
yes,
we need to be logical, critical thinkers too. I'm gonna get a little bit on hobby horse. Here's what I mean by this.
Absolutely.
I understand we're people, we're not machines. However, the laws of logic, God is a God of wisdom. The laws of logic are a reflection of his thinking. So if we want to honor God, one thing we do is we think logical. Now, I understand the skeptics are Christians aren't logical. The whole thing's whatever. But this is Christian speaking to Christian, and this is how we try to roll. So listen, with that being said, guys, do you understand logically something that is unidentified in the atmosphere in no way equals an astronaut from another planet? Those two things aren't even related. It's because of science fiction and pop culture that we've been conditioned to think a UFO in the sky equals it's being manned or flown by alien visitors. Those two things don't even relate. Alien visitors, seeing them or talk, that's a totally different thing than there's something in the sky that I can't identify. And some of these, and this is where Heiser's been very helpful. Heiser has shown, and this is from personal conversation, that a lot of these things that appear, and I'm going to put that in bold, appear to not obey the laws of physics. Some of these things are government spacecraft, government craft, and it's a fact. And the government doesn't want to always say, yeah, that's something we're working on. And the government sometimes does try some crazy stuff, like anti-gravitational stuff, all kinds of wild stuff that you may be like, for real? The government really did try to do a mind control program. I thought it was a joke until I looked into it. MK Ultra is a real thing. The government, or part of the government, it was sort of almost a rogue operation at the end, really did try to find out, can we control people's thoughts or influence them through non-traditional means? It's a real thing. Now, a lot of these things, they don't work out, right? So a lot of these kind of things is government, they're working on some stuff, right? And so look, guys, UFOs do not equal little green men. You need to get that through your head. It's no logical connection. You got to prove you got to prove them, okay? So I'm going to continue on with this. That was my hobby horse, or whatever it was. High horse, something, pedestal. I don't know what it is, but okay. He claimed that Yahweh in particular is an extremely powerful being residing on a distant planet who controls many, if not all, of the mechanisms of the universe and creation. He is thus a central figure in the universe and is the real identity of the figure worshipped by the Abrahamic religions. Prophet Yahweh did assert that UFOs are spacecraft, but claimed they are automated and not manned. Oh, that's interesting. Well, wait a minute, but in that one video we saw, he mentioned black angels. He seemed to indicate black angels were flying them, and he would understand them to be chariots. So that's weird. I don't know about that line. Prophet Yahweh did not consider himself a New Age religious leader. He instead viewed himself as being Jewish, and his beliefs as fitting into traditional Jewish religious thinking. Although he adopted the name prophet, he claimed he was not truly a prophet. Amen to that, brother. But a mere seer and a messenger instructed by Yahweh to bring his message of coming UFO sightings to the people of Earth. Prophet Yahweh said he had been preparing for over a quarter of a century, awaiting the day Yahweh would further his role as a prophet to expose the truth worldwide through the phenomena of UFOs. And by the way, according to one account I saw, this was told to him by a voice inside his head. Yahweh said he had been summoning UFOs for the past 25 years and summoned over 1,500 UFOs, but only decided to go to the media with his abilities because he was ordered to do so by Yahweh, aka the voice in his head. Prophet Yahweh denied having any form of power, but although he goes on camera calling himself a master summoner, by the way, but rather a relationship with the extraterrestrial beings he referred to as the angels of Yahweh. He did not claim to be their leader, but merely a pawn to Yahweh and the angels of Yahweh. He claimed they were here. This sentence is messed up. He claimed they were here is because, anyways, the earth is currently locked in a complete state of death due to Luciferian forces at work, that through the centuries they have infiltrated every religion, guiding humanity down a continuous path of no return, and have replaced words in ancient scriptures, enabling us to lose all effect of our prayers and leaving us actually worshiping Lucifer. And that's where the documentary hypothesis comes in, right, Abu?
Exactly. The removing of L. Exactly.
So this is a pretty good article, although I have a question about the part that says they're not manned. I'd have to see that because it seems like he's talking about they were manned in the one we saw. Okay, according to Prophet Yahweh, the modern-day gospel is a forgery in which Jesus is portrayed as a homosexual. Now, you have never heard that claim until you read this article, correct, Abu?
Yeah.
Well, let's hear, and considering of his background, the entire New Testament is a fraud, including the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the only sacred scriptures are the wide document Hebrew version Old Testament. Is that really what he called it? Jesus Christ was not the Messiah's name. He did, in fact, come, but his name was Emmanuel.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Can we? You know what's funny about this? The person who wrote this misunderstood what they were hearing. Someone transcribed something and it got lost. The wide document is the Y document, the J source.
We need to correct
a little bit
this
of bad
article.
transcription there.
We need to correct this article. We are the true rational wikis. Yeah. I was wondering about that. You're totally right. Someone heard it and they put wide, but it's Y. Because
of the D in document.
Yeah.
Y document.
Good catch, bro. This is why we have you on, bro. Okay, Jamie Russell says, I saw a UFO. Hey, that there's nothing wrong with saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because all you're saying there, Jamie, is you saw something that was flying that you could not identify. That's all you're saying. And, you don't have to know everything, you know what I'm saying? And a fraud Sakari says, one time me and Deacon saw a round disc-like object hovering above us. One time when we were cutting Christians, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
By the way, there's a cultural reference slipped in there.
Yeah. That's the Greek guy on Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, and Ancient Aliens is indicative of how big this mix of religion and ufology, belief in UFOs is. That the fact that the History Channel has a very popular series that devotes many episodes to the subject.
And by the way, we're going to go back to this article later on, but I have a video I'm going to show you where Yahweh shows himself on the news summoning a UFO. So you don't want to leave until you see that yet, ladies and gentlemen. His purpose was to reinstate the true religion of Yahweh, the religion which Adam, Moses, Abraham, and the rest of the holy bloodline followed. Of course, nearly everything written about the Messiah is wrong. Earth is the only inhabited planet in the universe that is opposed to truth and everything Yahweh represents. Apparently, our creator Yahweh has a federation of planets where all worship Yahweh. This is a little bit similar to Nation of Islam, where I think they have some version of their larger sort of, picture of astronomy and planets, I don't know how to say geoastronomy.
And the mothership and the scientists that are out there and all that.
But I thought they had a version. Some of them believe that all the other planets that are inhabited are ruled by black men and should be, except for this one. It's the only one that's topsy-turvy, where it doesn't have that situation. I've heard that from some.
We are on the bizarro world.
Yeah, no, exactly. I've heard that from some NOI folks before. Maybe it's the ones who are more fivers, perhaps. All right. Apparently, our creator Yahweh has a federation of planets where all worship Yahweh. Also, each planet has the same morality and lifestyle. They all live in perfect harmony. Yahweh and his angels are not spiritual beings, but rather superhuman beings that live on an extremely advanced planet, which is inhabited by countless races of every color and form. He seems like is he a little less racist than a lot of other Hebrew Israelites, Abu?
Full on. His followers did not. Let me rephrase that. Once you get outside of the one West spectrum, you can find a lot of different people who are not, really big into the whole, excluding people deal. What I got from his followers, they were willing to accept anybody. Not that I saw a diverse spectrum amongst his followers, but the potential was there.
Can you talk briefly about the followers you did interact with? Yahweh's servant, I believe.
Servant Yahweh. So the same way you have prophet Yahweh, where they were moving the word of. So you had servant Yahweh, which was he meant servant of Yahweh.
Was he that younger guy?
No, he was also young. He was a young man, but he was the older of the two. There was an even younger one who was very vocal and very active on the internet.
How old do you think servant Yahweh was?
If I had to guess, early 20s.
And
early 20s.
Do you know his ethnic background, perhaps?
The two main guys that I interacted with were African American.
Okay.
And
Fuad Sakari says E.T. was an Israelite. Maybe he was. In fact, maybe Elliot misunderstood when they were touching fingers. That was actually E.T. giving Elliot the middle finger. Maybe that's what that was. Sorry.
And Elliot is a form of Elijah, and they ascended into heaven. There you go.
All right, so here we go. Harmony. Okay. Yahweh's angels fit the exact resemblance of the so-called human Nordics, aka Pleiadians, seen in many abductions. The Greys are actually robotic beings, biological otherwise, who reside on Yahweh's planet.
Whoa. Wait, that's a new one for me. The Yahweh's angels were Nordic?
I think Nordic doesn't mean like Northern European. I think it's a certain kind of alien thing, because it's the Pleiadians.
Okay.
I think the Pleiadians are the Greys.
Okay. All right.
I could be wrong. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. They're humanoids, better-looking versions of us. Lack pigmentation in their skin and hair, giving them an albino appearance. Many Pleiadians have an Asian appearance similar to Greys. As a rule, Pleiadians do not carry around much excess fat, although females are known to have curvy figures. I'm reading from a different art. That you don't usually have curly hairs or beards. Oh, well, they're not Israelites then. Okay, so... That's the other rational wiki entry on that. So that's what it means by that. We're in a whole different world, pun intended there.
Yes.
Hey, Connor Terrell, shout out to you, my man, for the super chat. You're a good homie. And by the way, Connor, I just finally let you in the Street Apologist Squad Up private group there. So enjoy that, hopefully, bro, and make sure you follow that because you're a supporter, so you get to be in there. Okay, so continue on. The Greys are usually robotic beings, biological otherwise, who reside on Yahweh's planet. The inhabitants of Yahweh's planet utilize robots in every aspect of life. So this is like Isaac Asimov stuff here. For instances, you can merely think of something and the robots will already be doing what you asked for in your mind. However, the main reason robots are needed is because of the huge population rate on the planet, which is in fact it was where people go when they die. Also, the Yahweh military, as Prophet Yahweh calls it, he had a whole thing. He should have wrote a science fiction novel. He uses robots to their full extent for purposes such as psychological warfare, which they even plan to use against Earth. Wow. Okay. Yahweh's angels have been slowly making their presence known on Earth and have even abducted people, took them back to Yahweh's planet, and shown them the ways of Yahweh. Yahweh, our Creator, has sent a delegation of ships stationed all over the Earth outside the Earth's atmosphere. These ships are filled with countless types of smaller vessels which are released to catch people's attention and wake up our minds to the present. So this is very interesting. So now I'm understanding this more. Because in a number of videos, Abu, he says the aliens are here amongst us. They just whether they want to make themselves known. He's not, so they're not traveling, they're stationed, but they essentially are cloaked. And then the mothership releases these little probes. Do you see what's going on? So if you remember in Empire Strikes Back, Vader was obsessed with finding Luke, right? And so Vader releases probe droids into all the galaxy, including including Hoth. And remember when they saw there was life there, and he says this:
"No, that is the planet. I am sure Skywalker is with them."
Remember that? So this is kind of like that. So let me just read this last section before we go to 2005 media coverage here. So this is very fascinating. Phase 1 is referred to as public descent, where Yahweh's delegation of ships will uncloak and sit over major populations, similar to the movie Independence Day. And yes, I am going to let you comment on that. Just let me do these next 3 sentences, Abu. Phase 2 was due to start officially around 2009, where Yahweh's angels would land in front of the governments of the earth, exit their ships, and go to a podium where they would begin addressing the entire world of who they are. Maybe that's what he thought he had back in his backyard, was like the place that they could begin to do that. You know, aliens. Because you ever wonder why it would take spaceships for Obama? The religious and government leaders preventing each person from having an eternal life will be thrown down the hole to the lake of fire, and Yahweh and his angels will then reinstate the religion of Yahweh and make all other religions illegal and punishable by death. All of our technology will also become obsolete in the face of theirs. So I'm going to do 2 things, Abu. I'm going to switch over the screen here, and then when I do that, I'm going to let you comment on Independence Day in the larger alien world of Hebrew Israelism while I go refill my coffee. Is that okay with you?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so let Abu speak, guys. I'm going to refill my coffee and talk about Independence Day in the larger kind of Hebrew Israelite world, and then we're going to show this video when I come back. Okay, the floor is yours, my man, Abu. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. I think before I touch on Independence Day, what I really want to say is that relevant to Independence Day, it needs to be understood that a lot of these different groups are influenced by popular cinema, and then after the popular cinema influences them, they treat it as a sign that the elites know the truth. So what happened in the case of Independence Day, that clearly had an influence on a number of different people, a number of different groups. I know a lot of your viewers who are interested in Israelites, who are specifically interested in the One West spectrum, once Independence Day came out, before it even debuted, just based on the trailers, I guess it was the ICUPK, which was at One West or 1941 Madison, depending on the year. They were already, saying that this is sort of indicative of what's going to happen. The spaceships are going to come, they're going to be over the cities, and they're going to use laser beams to melt the elements, and so on and so on and so on. And then to this day, here we are, nearly a quarter of a century later, and you can still see at least GMS camps with poster boards that have the picture of the spaceship from Independence Day, the spaceship coming out of the clouds. And so Independence Day clearly influenced them, had an impact on them, and we also see that it had an impact on Prophet Yahweh as well. What happened, insofar that people were able to look at this film and then think to themselves, yeah, that is how that shaped their eschatology in a certain sense. They said that's how it's going to look. And so in that sense, yeah, just to put it bluntly, Independence Day somewhat affected the eschatology of more than one group, if we can call Prophet Yahweh and his followers a group. And welcome back. Oh, no, I was just welcoming you back. That's it. I was basically saying that I was just touching on how, you know what it's reminiscent of? I remember when Jurassic Park was made. Apparently, they had a bunch of experts get together and try and figure out how a Tyrannosaurus might have moved, and there was disagreement amongst them. So when a computer animator made the movement that we now see in the film, everybody looked at it and said, yeah, that's probably the way it was. So I think I bring that up to say that's an analogy that happened with some people's eschatology. With Independence Day, they had an idea of what the end times are going to look like, and then they saw Independence Day and they said, yeah, it's going to look like that. And there's a sort of a putting the cart before the horse in a sense, because people will be influenced by the film and then claim that the film was somehow influenced by the same truth that they hold to, that these are the elites winking at you through cinema, which is a popular belief amongst a number of different people. It's certainly within One West, although I should clarify, Prophet Yahweh was well outside of the One West spectrum. Most definitely.
Okay. But okay,
I could hear you this whole time.
Yeah. JJ Har says, I see vocab wearing Batman hat. I'm a Superman dude myself, but lately have done terrible choosing actors for the role and the way they portray him now. Just so you know, I actually like Superman better than Batman. But the problem I have is Superman stuff doesn't look very cool to wear. And so this hat just looked really slick to me. And so I'll rock it because I like the way it looks. But I'm actually more of a Superman guy myself if he's done right. But I'm not anti-Batman for sure. I'll tell you about that. Okay, so Judah the Lion says, GOCC, don't do aliens, bro. Yeah, you have anything to say about that, Abu? I don't know.
I was not aware of it. That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. I don't really look closely at the way that GOCC has evolved away from
but
One
see,
West.
him saying they don't do aliens could just be what the rest of One Westers say, which is any UFO sightings that are legit are actually the chariots being manned by black angels. And so if you believe that, that's not aliens according to a traditional understanding. So any One Wester, I think, could say they don't do aliens, bro. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what he means by that. Because if I was one Wester, I could say I don't believe in aliens, but I still would believe that UFOs are IFOs and that they're actually spaceships manned by black angels, which are going to be part of Judgment Day instead of Independence Day.
I was assuming that he meant they dropped a lot of their belief in the interpretation of what the chariots were. That was my guess, but I don't know what he means.
The problem is Judah the Lion.
Hopefully he'll clarify.
I love Judah the Lion, but he's got a nickname around these parts, and it's Judah the Chameleon. And so we never know for sure. Just saying. You don't have to comment on that. Don't worry. Meek and Pure says, if aliens are real, I have no problem with it. Well, this show's a little bit different than that. You know, the question is if they were real, the kind of aliens that Prophet Yahweh is talking about, could he summon them? And I'm going to say basically the answer is no. The best job he did was every now and then have some guy, I think, probably release balloons, mylar balloons filled with helium on top of that or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And,
although that's not the only possible explanation, because maybe later we'll touch on One West also attempting to summon chariots.
Yes. Ooh, Cookie Cruncher. Look at this. She says, sounds like a Malachi Z. York student. Oh, you want to comment on that, bro?
Well, yes, that certainly existed amongst Malachi Z. York, and it existed amongst others. And this is actually, I'm glad that came up.
She's a smart one. Cookie Cruncher. She looked like she's probably been in the game for a minute. All right, but go ahead.
When we were first discussing this, the Prophet Yahweh, and we're talking about him summoning quote unquote chariots, we instantly saw the parallel with One West. And so the question became, did he get this from One West, or did One West get it from him? And of course, there's no need to point to a direct influence one way or the other, because this sort of idea existed in various permutations within the larger, community and stuff like that. There's a number. Malachi Z. York is an example, and there's probably others who were experimenting with these ideas, getting into books like, I don't know, Chariots of the Gods, Eric von Daniken's book, which, if I'm not mistaken, that was like one of the books that Kazakh brought into One West. And so, yeah.
Quick, I'm going to unmute myself here. What Abu was just saying is that at the original One West school, when the seven heads were still intact, some of the lesser known Kazakh, was that right? Because it was a Kazakh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. That's my understanding.
Started bringing in the UFO stuff into the school, and then it became part of the DNA of the school. And he started bringing in some of these classic ufologist books, such as Chariot of the Gods. And I just ordered a book refuting that book called Crash Go the Chariots, written by, I believe, an Old Testament Christian scholar. And I've actually ordered way more books on UFO stuff and DVDs than I've ever gotten. Before the show is over, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a good little bibliography of resources for Christians to think through this proper way. Floyd Thompson says they are demons. Well, remember, Floyd, we can possibly say that's an explanation for some of them. But if we're going to do that, we would have to, first of all, believe the account. And a lot of these accounts, the way they're reported, we simply cannot trust the people's version that they are giving. And I think we need to recognize that and not just believe everything that they say. And at this show tonight, I'm not going to do the whole breakdown of Ezekiel 1, but in a future show, I might do a breakdown of Ezekiel 1 and Ezekiel 10 because it's very relevant. Hey, shout out to G-Con, that's my man. He says that Bruce Lee was an Israelite.
Which has relevance to this subject.
Does it have relevance to this subject?
Yes, I think I've told you this story privately.
Okay, so I there's so much I forget. I'm so sorry. I don't have a memory like you.
No problem. No.
So in some way, Bruce Lee being an Israelite relates to the UFOs. Go ahead, Abu. Tell us how.
And here's how. So I've encountered Israelites saying that Bruce Lee is an Israelite for decades, literally decades. But in the mid-'90s, I met one guy who actually tried to present a case for it. And he even knew Bruce Lee's tribe. I don't remember what it is. I think he said that Bruce Lee was from Ephraim, right? And this was a guy that was within the One West spectrum. I think he was with the House of David or something, or one of the offshoots. And he had said that the person, he knows that Bruce Lee is an Israelite and specifically an Ephraimite, if I recall correctly, because he was told this by a prophet. And he knows that the man who told him this is an authentic prophet because the man is able to summon chariots on command.
Okay,
That was his reasoning.
You did tell me that story. Okay, so this is important. Let me break down what was just said. All right, check this out. Some one-Westers have thought Bruce Lee was an Israelite. A lot just would say, nah, dude, he's a Moabite, right? But to those who do, one time Abu heard this as a rationale was that the person who told him that Bruce Lee was an Israelite, not a Moabite, was able to summon UFOs on command. So that was evidence to his authority. So that shows a possible component to certain versions of one West Hebrew Israelism, how their epistemology functions. Okay, so that is important actually. So supposedly, Prophet Yahweh is not the only Hebrew Israelite who's been known to be able to summon UFOs on command. Because,
and if I can add,
you're not under the impression he was talking about Prophet Yahweh, right?
No, he definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
He was talking about someone within the One West spectrum.
So other Hebrew Israelites, I just want to get this out here because I want some One Westers to come forward. One Westers, tell us who's this other guy who could summon UFOs. My guess is you guys won't tell us, or you'll say somebody's lying, and then later on we'll find out who it was. We'll eventually find out. Who are the other Hebrew Israelites who could believe that they could summon UFOs? And I bet someone's going to say, well, it's not on command. Just who had the ability to call UFOs sometimes and they would come? That's what we're asking. We want to know who it is because I know it's somebody out there. And we do know for a fact you guys have used UFO appearances. This is so weird I'm saying this. What planet do I live on? UFO appearances as evidence that you were doing a good job, almost like a big astronomical attaboy or a UFO pat on the back or an alien version of, well done, my faithful servant. What were you going to say, though? You're going to add something to that, bro?
Well, again, it was in the 90s when this guy told me this, and I, at the time, didn't understand what he was saying. So I asked him, I was like, what do you mean he summons chariots? And the guy said exactly that. He says a prayer, and the chariots of the Lord appeared. Now, at the time, I was imagining that he was trying to claim, I didn't believe him, but I imagined that he was trying to claim that like something akin to a, ancient chariot with the wooden wheels and all that was appearing in front of him. And it was only later that I learned that when One Westers talk about chariots appearing, they mean lights in the sky. And as you alluded to, for those who saw your encounter with GMS in specifically the GMS's main camp in Manhattan in Morningside Heights, they were, with all due respect to those gentlemen, somewhat uncomfortable with that encounter. And at the end, they felt they saw some lights in the sky. And as per their epistemology, they took that as a sign that they were right and you were wrong. So they felt that those were chariots. And there are a number of stories like this. One former member of the ICGJC, a gentleman who went by the name The Marksman, he was one of the two founders of Rebel Alliance Media. He told a story about how the ICGJC would often have every now and then have guys go up on a rooftop to try and say prayers that would draw in chariots. And then they would salute them if the chariots appeared. And he had a story where they did the prayers, some lights appeared in the sky, they started saluting them. And this is relevant to what you were saying earlier about if you're in a city, it's easy to see lights in the sky. They started saluting the chariot. And as it got closer, they realized it was a helicopter. As he recounted, he said, we saluted a DAMN helicopter.
Yeah, so again, I just want to reiterate, this is so epic, everyone needs to understand what's being said. It's not just one guy who thought that Bruce Lee was an Israelite and that gave him some kind of authority who could supposedly summon UFOs, but according to ex-Hebrew Israelites we know from the olden days, when we say olden days, we mean essentially the 80s and 90s, believed and have told us about Hebrew Israelites who would go on the rooftops in New York, Manhattan, wherever they are, Harlem, and would say prayers just like Prophet Yahweh does. Notice he does these kind of prayers for the angels, the UFOs, the chariots to manifest themselves, to appear, to make themselves known. And when they thought they would be there, they would But then one time they quickly came to find out that it was actually just a helicopter.
I would say epistemology here also lines up with linguistics here. So Prophet Yahweh and One West clearly disagree on how to pronounce the Tetragrammaton. But there are One Westers who believe that their pronunciation is corrected because chariots appear when you invoke the name of Yahweh. Bahasham Yahweh Shai, they would say. And
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Were you saying just now some Hebrew Israelites believe that chariots appear only or whenever you invoke the name of Yahweh? What were you saying?
Not necessarily whenever, but that's a sign that you're using the correct name.
Is the chariots appearing is vindication of the proper pronunciation?
It's a vindication of your position, and the fact that they would appear when you use the correct name is a sign that name is correct after all. Here's the ironic thing. I've seen I never saw Prophet Yahweh say this, but his followers argued something similar for Yahweh. They would say, not only do the scholars back us up, that was their big thing. If there's something
he did. No, I've seen videos where he says you can only use the name of Yahweh to do this.
Yeah. But I'm saying, and his followers would reverse it. That's how, because they would pick fights with One Westers would say, well, you're using a Yiddish name, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. And they would say, no, we know this is the correct name because chariots appear when we use it.
Oh.
So you see how linguistics overlap with epistemology here for these different groups that were, didn't exactly agree.
Take me to your leader. All right. So we've got a fascinating background to this. So what One Westers that you know of for sure would still know who Prophet Yahweh is? Who did he go toe to toe? Who did he tussle with?
Well, he himself didn't tussle with any of them. It was his followers that would go and pick fights with. I'm sure
the army of Yahweh. Okay.
Yes, exactly. As for who would remember him, I think anyone who was a member of GMS around 2008, 2009, 2010. So Tahar definitely would remember him because he was the one who used to constantly call him Prophet Yahweh. He'd go through his litany of people that are going to get it, and he'd start naming names, and he'd slip in Prophet Yahweh. That's yeah. So yeah, I'm sure Tahar would remember it.
So he might do a show, vocab over here breaking up this old fool, Prophet Yahweh. So he might be one of them.
Yeah, nobody remembers him. He's played out, but vocab dug him up. That's
yeah. Vocab dug up his bones, and now we got this fool. Yeah. Okay, well, Abu, I think this is a good time to play the video. Okay, let me read the background of this. Okay, this is about the 2005 media coverage. Okay. Yahweh claimed that for 45 days, from June 1st to July 15, 2005, he would summon a series of UFOs over the city of Las Vegas. In particular, one ship would hover directly over the city for a period of 2 days, in an area where millions of people would be able to witness the craft. This event was referred to as the descent by Yahweh, as it is meant to reveal to the population of Earth that UFOs are real. Following the descent would come another period of time where the UFOs would land, this time manned by the extraterrestrial beings who had created them, at which point the alien life will make contact with humanity, explain themselves in the universe to a greater extent, and set up an eternal kingdom on the planet. This did not, in fact, eventuate. A few days after the period when this prophecy was supposed to happen, the prophet announced that he was going to begin a 50-state UFO summoning tour 2005, during which he would travel to every state in the United States and summon UFOs for media outlets to film and photograph. He claimed to have been abandoned by all of the media in Las Vegas, resulting in the UFOs not coming during the 45 days he had prophesied. The spaceship would have never appeared if I was not filmed calling it down. This is what the space beings wanted. They wanted me captured on film with their spaceships so everyone would know that these beings have chosen me to speak for them and no other person. The space beings kept their end of the bargain by sending a real UFO on my signal that was documented, but Las Vegas media refused to film me calling down the spaceship. That's why it never happened. A short time before Prophet Yahweh's apparent summoning of UFOs on local news, which I'm going to show that video right now, Yahweh had appeared on Coast to Coast AM. Shortly after the incident, Prophet Yahweh appeared on the Alan Colmes radio program and conservative news website WorldNet Daily. The story was also widely reported in digital television and print media. UFO Digest secured what they claimed was an exclusive interview with him. The Prophet also received lots of attention on various blogs in June 2005, such as Boing Boing. Even some UFO advocates were skeptical of his claims. For example, alienresistance.org. Okay. Have you seen this Vegas clip yet, Abu?
I'm not sure. Is this the one from 2005? The news coverage? Yes, I've seen the news coverage.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. This was the one that put him on the map and got him some followers.
This is the one where he's like, "Hey, the proof's in the pudding." You know,
because the news reporter seems to, he sort of is playful, and some people were convinced that the news reporter was convinced.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So here we go, everyone. Buckle up. Prophet Yahweh on TV, summoning a UFO.
A possible motive in the brutal killing is tied to a Las Vegas strip club.
He's the Las Vegas man who claims he can summon UFOs on command. Pretty wild. So we sent Action News reporter Mike Delastrito to get the real story. But what he found shocked everyone and could leave you wondering, are UFOs real?
And forget the short-term fixes and diets that don't work. Kathy Ray has a plan for every lifestyle to help you win the battle of the bulge.
Breaking news.
All right, we're going to play this. Now, first of all, I'm a little bit of an anti-establishment guy in some ways, which is weird because I call myself a libertarian conservative. But, gosh, man, watching anything from mainstream news, whether it's local or national, they're just so irritating. So watching these folks just, I'm not a fan of Prophet Yahweh, obviously, but I'm not necessarily a big fan of local news either. They're just, this is just my own little personal pet peeve. So watching through this is hard, not because of Prophet Yahweh's silliness, it's because because watching the news media always. But here we go. All right, let's play it.
Solving problems. This is Channel 13 Action News, live at 11.
Well, let's take another trip back into the realm of paranormal tonight. Last night we had ghost hunters, now UFOs.
That's right, and there is a Las Vegas guy making an extraordinary claim about extraterrestrials. So we sent
a Las Vegas guy. News is lame. Why is the news even covering this? It just shows also how lame the news is. Like, why are they even really covering this? It's like ratings, not real news. But here we go.
News reporter Mike Delastrito to check it out. Mike?
All right, guys, just listen up here. This guy says the Old Testament, written in Hebrew, taught him how to summon UFOs.
He does say that. Does he say, Abu, specifically where this information is? Abu?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Because he does seem to say that, right? That is the essence of part of the claim, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with what information you're referring to.
Oh, sorry, you can't hear. Okay. The Old Testament is what taught him how to be able to do this.
Oh, yes. I don't know. No, I've never seen him be very forthcoming as to say exactly where. But his followers who were JSource only, nonetheless, would make these references to Ezekiel and stuff like that. And so, who knows? I mean,
which is odd because Ezekiel has something to do with JSource, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here we go, though. Let's play this.
He says he can also do this on command, and he adds he's been doing it for 25 years, keeping all of it secret until now.
By the way, that's really weird because he does seem to claim that he's been doing it for a long time by himself. But the reason he said why the UFOs didn't come in this other prophecy during 2005 is because the media wouldn't show up and film it. So it's kind of like, well, I thought you've been doing it 25 years by yourself. So why now do they all of a sudden need attention? This is just, this is the nature of these things, right?
Till now.
These beings are here. They are here. They're just sitting right up there.
We met up with
These beings are here. They're here. They're just sitting right up there. That does give validation to the Rational Wiki article.
Yahweh, seer of Yahweh at Doolittle Park off Lake Mead. We picked the day, we picked the time, and we picked the location.
Everyone's going to think you're absolutely nuts. Well, I thought I was absolutely nuts.
Until he...
The news reporter says, everyone's going to think you're absolutely nuts. And Prophet Yahweh says, well, I thought I was absolutely nuts. I don't like that. That's a funny line. I kind of like this guy. He's got some funny lines. So here we go.
says he saw UFOs. Over the years, 1,500 of them.
Can we make it 1,501 today? What do you think? I'll try it.
He says the voice in his head told him to go public now, so we took him up on his offer, and we scanned the skies. Nothing but a few clouds. When the prophet started praying for a sighting, I wasn't exactly convinced.
I pray, oh Yahweh, that you send a sighting so that they know that I am not mentally ill. I am not.
His reasoning is a little funny. He says, I pray today, Yahweh, you would send a sighting so that they would know I am not mentally ill. That's a funny rationale for your prayer, but here we go. So again, this is a Hebrew Israelite who really took off on the UFO aspect of certain components of One West Israelism. All right? So here we go.
False prophet, like those who seek to kill me say I am.
This dude's claiming people want to kill him. In another video I see, he says he's the most hated man on the internet.
Straight up.
Oh, brother, look at it. There it is.
You can barely see it, a white speck. Then another sighting.
There it is. I got it.
Photojournalist Jonathan Hawkins locks in on it. Let's take a closer look here. It's an orange.
Honestly, this looks like a balloon. This looks like a helium balloon. What are they made out of? Mylar? Is that what they're made out of?
I think so, yeah.
It looks like a Mylar balloon filled with helium. Go ahead.
But then again, as we've said several times, that's one of the explanations. Apparently someone was helping him in certain cases with that. But even without that, I mean, if you're in a major city, you can find, spheres and stuff and lights and whatnot in the sky. Real quick, if I could just interject with one thing, because you mentioned One West. It should be made clear, lest anyone misunderstands us, that we're not saying that he got these ideas from One West. He was outside of the One West spectrum. I think both of them got it from, common sources.
Yeah, we're just talking about, when I bring that up, for example, that within Hebrew Israelism, especially One Westism, certain versions of UFO eschatology are prevalent, prominent. I'm just making a connection, but he doesn't seem to meet the definition of a One Wester in any way, from what I can tell. I mean, he's calling God Yahweh. He's arguing with One Westers, but it just shows this aspect of this in Hebrew Israelism. And if we want to get into NOI and York stuff, alternative urban religions in general, perhaps, but that's a subject matter for another time. And fascinating, I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but Abu, do you remember when we covered NOI and we brought out the fact of Farrakhan's relationship that had become quite cozy with the Scientologists?
Yes, definitely.
And if you don't know, people, Scientologists have a whole alien UFO thing in the background, even though they deny it. Let's play this.
Fear that appeared out of nowhere. I call the boss with an unexpected change in my story.
I can see it clear as day. In fact, it's bright.
I can't believe this.
It's moving pretty fast.
It's going to Nellis Air Force Base. It wants to be seen.
It's going to the Air Force Base. It wants to be seen. I love how he's exegeting the thing in the sky, but watch what he says. Watch this.
Now, as to see what these things might be. Guess what? They didn't call us back. But this thing started coming back toward us.
It's coming toward us now, I think.
What?
See, it's coming up toward us.
You hear Prophet Yahweh? What? This is epic. A fraud Sakari says the original Area 51 was actually located at One West. All right.
Whoa, man! Oh, hallelujah!
Then, a few seconds later, it disappeared.
It's going back up in space.
Prophet Yahweh isn't concerned.
So this, whoever's driving this, clearly had a fifth of vodka before they manned their spaceship, because first they're going to the Air Force Base because they want to be seen. Then they're coming back towards the reporter, and Prophet Yahweh is surprised by that. Now they're going back up into space. Maybe this is like student driver bumper sticker, and don't follow those people too closely. Don't always expect them to obey the rules of the road. Don't it's like maybe this is a student driver Black Angel, perhaps, because clearly don't know where he's going. Ooh man, I could make a joke right here. Oh gosh. But I won't make a joke. All right, there.
He says it'll be back.
And I'm still not quite sure what those things were. Now, if I didn't see this for myself, I probably would have just laughed this whole thing off. Prophet Yahweh says, though, this is just the beginning. He says we're going to see a lot more of these things starting next week. And he says one will come down low enough for all of Las Vegas to see. Mike Dell'Ostrito, Channel 13 Action News.
Interesting. You know what? If anybody knows what that was, please call Mike Dell'Ostrito and identify that object.
So, Jerry, do you mind if we play the X-Files theme song while you do what?
Yeah, really.
I think I can handle it.
Yeah.
No comment on that. Let's, from a scientific point of view, let's go right to early warning desert Doppler. And, you know, that's not the best for picking up UFOs.
The weatherman, the weatherman is a scientist. He's a voice of rationality. This was quite entertaining. Daryl Calhoun says, laugh until lower parts bleed. Cookie cutter nervous laugh. Repent, newsman. Oh, boy. This is very fascinating. Okay, so you've seen that as well, right, my man Abu?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It was quite popular in 2000. Even though it came out in 2005, I first started seeing it around 2007, 2008, when he started appearing in the little pockets of YouTube that I would frequent.
So around 2007, 2008, you started seeing that clip a lot.
Yes, because his followers were pushing it, and then, you know, people started discussing it within the areas that I was, having discussions with people.
Okay. And then the last part of this bio, in June 2005, so this was like the high mark of his career. Yahweh applied to James Randi's $1 Million Challenge, was set to undertake their challenge to prove his ability to summon UFOs. In January 2006, however, in December 2005, the JREF closed his claim file due to disagreements over new requirements proposed by Yahweh, particularly his request that armed security be present. What? I don't remember seeing that before. What?
Yeah, I don't remember that either. It's an interesting detail, though.
Yes, it is. And you can see there's more stuff here about him. There's a grip of stuff, actually, if you look it up. We only read from one little article there. So this clip has been well known, and I'm going to actually go to his YouTube page real quick here. Okay, now what else do we need to say about him, and how is this relevant to Hebrew Israelism? I mean, why? Like, I'm just like, why did you agree to tonight's show? You know, like, what do you think? How do you think this is sort of fits in? You know, we're trying to put this in a larger framework to understand Hebrew Israelism and all this stuff. But just, I want to continue to exegete the situation. What else do you want to say about him, my man?
I'm not sure what else I would want to say with him, but his relevance is the fact that he was an interesting figure from, the history of Israelites on the internet, and he's a testament to just how diverse the Israelite spectrum is. That once you look beyond One West, it can get very, very different. But then on top of that, the fact that some of his ideas overlapped with One West ideas, like this epistemology that's based on the summoning of chariots, quote unquote, raises questions about the influences on One West, because he didn't get these. I'm confident he didn't get these ideas from One West. Rather, they got them from common sources, and that's why we mentioned earlier, for example, the influence of perhaps Eric von Daniken's book, The Chariots of the Gods, amongst other books, and maybe they got into Zechariah Sitchin or something like that. But yeah, it also gets into the issue of the sources, the influences that exist within larger communities that sort of One West evolved within.
Excellent. Now I want to go over here and flip over real quick to his YouTube page, which is no longer being updated. And I also sent you his Twitter Twitter account, which only has a few tweets, right?
Yeah, 2 accounts, 8 tweets combined between them.
All right, let me see here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we are now, Abu. I got his YouTube page on the screen, and let me try to show. So you do not know who these other 2 followers of Prophet Yahweh here are. You don't know who those guys are, right? Abu, the guy.
Yeah. Yes. No. I'm saying
top that I sent you earlier.
Yeah. No. I see it on the screen. I do not know those gentlemen. I encountered some of his followers, but not the 2 young men in that picture. No.
All right. He had 3,000 subscribers and interestingly enough, he has actually gained 20 new subscribers in the past month. Looks like on June 1st, he got 10 more subs in one day. That's interesting. He averages like one a day, it looks like.
By the way, he had a blog. There's nothing on the blog, but if you pull up the blog, how to summon UFOs, one word, one string of characters, how to summon UFOs.
How to summon
UFOs with no spaces. .blogspot.com.
.blogspot. Okay.
It's a blog that he intended. It's his blog. He was gonna teach how to basically summon chariots. But unfortunately, he never got around to finishing the blog, so there's no information on it. But you see his intention at the very least.
Oh man!
Yeah, there it is.
Talk about dying before
how to call down UFOs and film them. And you see
magnum
there on the
opus
bottom
comes
right.
out.
On the bottom right, it says "View my complete profile." You see that link on the bottom right? If you click that, you'll see all his other blogs, and they seem to all be similarly empty.
Prophet Yahweh, just a second. Say what? Oh no! We can't do that now. We want to get off. Prophet Yahweh UFOs, Christian lies about Jesus. So this guy was definitely an enemy of the faith, if we haven't already determined that. Yahweh health laws, UFOs in the Bible, Second Moses, the end time prophet king of Israel. Well, I wonder who he thought that was supposed to be. You see what I'm saying? Prophet Yahweh official blogs, the Yahweh culture and society, how to call down UFOs and film them, how to pray, Holy Yahweh, Prophet Yahweh UFOs, videos, TV, and films, Kosher Brothers International LLC, the Yahweh lifestyle, Yahweh's prophetic calendar, the character of Yahweh and how he thinks, Black Jew Hebrew Israelite Historical Society.
Another empty blog.
Yeah, just in case any Hebrew Israelites thinks that he's not actually a Hebrew Israelite, though. The holy and sacred name Yahweh, Black Jew Hebrew Israelite studies, how to worship, glorify, and defend Yahweh, Yahweh's timetable, the times of Jacob's troubles, the Luciferian conspiracy against holy Yahweh, the laws of Yahweh, Yahweh and his angels are superhuman black men from other planets. Favorite movies, The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, classic movie, where the alien comes out of the flying saucer, looks very humanoid, and the ignorant citizens of the world kill him. Then he goes back into his spaceship, and then he's resurrected. It's very sort of Jesus-ish, and he renames himself Carpenter. And by the way, I read an article with a writer. He did intend this as a messianic nod, and comes back out, because he just wanted everyone to live in peace and harmony. But that's The Day the Earth Stood Still. A lot of UFO stuff, people really have to realize how much it's influenced by old school sci-fi. A lot of it. H.P. Lovecraft and everybody in between. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's funny he would like that one in particular. And it looks like he liked electronic dance. That's his favorite music. His favorite book is the King James Bible, which is odd because he didn't like... look at this interest. Ancient Hebrew, Brazilian Portuguese, being a publisher, being a radio and television show producer, and polygamy. What? What are your interests? Some science fiction, some dance music, and polygamy. Oh, man. I didn't see that until just now, but apparently you did, because I think we talked about it, didn't we? Occupation UFO reporter. Okay. Wow, this is... Okay. Yeah, it looks like almost all these blogs are empty, so it just gives you a sense of what he was thinking there. Okay, and let's look at some of the videos, okay? Let's take a look at his videos here. We're not going to actually watch them. I'm just getting you... last one was 5 years ago. Got 2,000 views. Looks like Dallas Zoo albinos... Searching One, Introduction to UFOs in the Bible. I am going to do a video on UFOs in the Bible one day, by the way. Prophet Yahweh UFOs over Washington, D.C. Prophet Yahweh, a pin-shaped UFO. By the way, that one's of particular interest to me. If you guys can see it on your screen. That one took place at the downtown Phoenix main library. And I can recognize the little red awnings there. I could go to that location and show you where it is and do a video on it, which would be a fascinating thing to do, perhaps. It looks like he had done a number of videos where they're supposed to be in Phoenix, some of these sightings. And look, some of these videos got high. This UFOs over DC got 30,000 views. So that's significant, right? Prophet Yahweh, past contact, a lot of past contact shows. Looks like I got 10 episodes. Crenshaw, Metal Ball, Small Space Capsule, Phoenix sighting 7, 4, 6, 8. A lot of Phoenix sightings here. He's a much younger man there. I wonder if this must be someone else besides him. A lot of Phoenix sightings, morphing UFO, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, black blinking capsule, V-shaped UFOs and orbs, crystal ball UFO in the clouds, metro station glowing orb. Metro station, that's also Phoenix. I am leaving on the 50-state tour tonight, so that was mentioned in the show we just talked about. He says that twice there. Night view of UFO school, daytime view of UFO school. You must vote for Obama. Spaceships will appear tomorrow. Oh, that's a video. That's a different video. We didn't watch that. Live Obama UFO TV special theme song too. There's 2 theme songs. Obama against replacing Constitution, Obama against the coming revolution, Obama against the invisible government, cleansing fast to power up for calling down spaceships, cleansing fast to power up for calling down spaceships. I wonder if that's some of the enema stuff. Cleansing fast to power up for calling down spaceships. So in some way, introduction to colon cleansing for extra power.
There you go.
Okay, so in some way he related it to having extra power for being able to summon UFOs?
Well, I guess you had to be purified. You had to purify yourself before engaging in the ritual, I guess.
Wait a minute. Abu, do you understand how this could relate? What are the aliens always said to do?
Yeah, the probes. You mentioned it in your freestyle. You said they were just nasty. It turns out that it's a purification ritual.
Oh, my goodness. So I just now am like putting this together, Abu. He could be saying like, the enema is relevant because they are going to anal probe people.
God help us.
I mean, why else would the enema be relevant here? He's going in the bathroom. Is he going to show people? Wait, the kitchen. Is he going to show people how to do an enema?
I saw videos back in 10 years ago where he was doing that. This might be one of them.
Wait a minute. Was he? Wait, he has a lectern in his.
And there he is in the bathroom. Oh no, it's the kitchen still.
Oh, there's the bathroom. Wait a minute, Abu.
This is one of the videos, yeah.
What in the world? Lordy. I'm getting very disturbed right now. Yo, I don't have the sound on right now. Okay, so Abu, did he? Wait, when he gave himself an enema, he was doing it with his own hands while it was being filmed?
That's the way I recall it, yeah. And it was in this scene. It was in this bathroom that we just saw.
Tissue cleansing through bowel management. What? Someone look up that book. Oh my gosh, what is happening? This is super weird. Okay, so was he clothed in these videos? How was he?
Yes, he had that. The video that I recall, he had that striped T-shirt on, and you wouldn't see his backside. You would see him from the waist up, the T-shirt up. But he would say that he was in in his bathroom, and the enema was beginning, and he would talk about he could feel it working, that kind of stuff, and that's why GMS jumped all over it.
Oh my goodness!
Because when both sides can summon chariots, then you need something else to refute your enemy,
Right.
So this was the material to reach for.
Right. Okay, that's enough of that. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, obviously we could do a number of shows on this guy. And we would relate it to larger elements of Hebrew Israelism and UFO religions. And E.M. Moore brought up the line I liked. This UFO needs an enema. The Joker from the 1989 Batman. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do now here, people. I'm going to give you some resources. I actually compiled a list here. And I want you to be aware of these resources, okay? I'm going to give you some names. I'm not going to show you the book in every instance. And let me say this. Some of these books I have a passing familiarity with. Other books I have a more thorough familiarity with. They're not all books. Some are websites and some are DVDs and movies. But Christians need to think critically. I'm not 100% happy with all of the work done by Christians in this field, but it's better than the other stuff you'll get, okay? And so I'm going to give you some stuff that is a good start. But I want to encourage everyone to be critical. Some of the resources from the Christian perspective are too quick to write these things off that are self-reported as being legitimate and then calling them demons. But we need to be as careful as possible. So just because I recommend a book doesn't mean I'm 100% with it, okay? And some of the books do have some weird stuff in it, but there's also some good stuff, okay? So let's take a look here. Number one, I'm going to recommend Alien Intrusion. Alien Intrusion by Gary Bates. He's Australian brother out there. CMI, Creation Ministries International, does a thing along with a guy named Guy Malone at alienintrusion.com, UFOs and the Evolution Connection. And there's a fascinating thing there. And this has been turned into a movie. And when I say movie, it's like an hour-long kind of documentary that's similar to the kind of thing you might see on the History Channel or that kind of thing, but it's with Christian apologetics type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And so what I want to recommend is, as a start, get this book. This is a good book. And the movie that goes with it, you need to go to creation.com, go to that website, and look for Alien Intrusion Movie. Alien Intrusion Movie. And the movie is really good. It's like the little documentary apologetic style. They did a really good job on it. Again, I don't agree with everything, but it's really, really well done and very engaging. I don't know if you can buy it as far as a DVD, but I downloaded the MP4 and I watched it last night, and I was really impressed with it. So if you get Alien Intrusion, the book with the movie, you are not going to go wrong. Do not let wacky people influence your thinking. We need Christians who are thoughtful, who have a science background, and these are just the guys to do it. And like I said, I don't agree with everything, mainly their tendency to believe too many of these reports, but it's good. This book and this movie are good. Now, I'm going to mention a couple more things there at creation.com. They have another video called Aliens, UFOs, and the Bible, and some of these are just like talks that are given. And there's another one called Alien Abductions and UFOs Exposed. That's a DVD. They also have another video called Origins, UFOs, and Coming to Christ. They also have another one called Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. These are all at creation.com. If you want to think on this, don't just grab History Channel crap. Pun intended, grab some good stuff off creation.com. And I know some of the old earthers and the theistic evolutionists are real upset right now, but hopefully we can agree on some of these resources without getting into that, because don't worry, later on I'm going to give some by RTB. Also, there's a little comic they have at creation.com called UFOs and Aliens. And there's a booklet they have too. Like you could pass out like a UFO convention maybe said, are we being visited by extraterrestrials? Now on to Mike Heiser. He has a lot of good stuff. He has a whole website, ladies and gentlemen, called ancientaliensdebunked.com. Excellent website filled with amazing articles, a 3-hour video, all kinds of good videos. He breaks down the Ezekiel 1, how it's fraudulent, the way they interpret it. So good. This ancientaliensdebunked.com website is so good. Get everything off there and look at it in depth. It is really, really good. And go to Fringe Pop 321, that's Michael Heiser's channel, and look up the alien related videos about the alien autopsy and everything. He gets into it and does such a good job. Heiser is so good on this, and I really appreciate his work in this area. He has another DVD that I've ordered and is actually on the way to my house right now. I got it off Logos. It's called Aliens and Demons. And then he was part of a symposium that they actually did at Roswell, put together by Guy Malone, called the Ancient of Days Christian Symposium on Aliens. And he gave a number of talks to Guy Malone and other people. And no, he's no relation to me, but Guy Malone actually is a Christian who lives in Roswell. And there's another one I haven't seen, so I can't vouch for it, but some of the names involved were pretty good. It's kind of expensive. I've seen it online, called God, Man, and E.T., The Question of Other Worlds in Science, Technology, and Mythology, a 6 DVD set. The reason why I'm giving these out is because I know a lot of people get into this and they go down the wrong path. They do not use discernment in the sources they pick, and I want my audience and anyone that hears this to not get into that. I want you to be much more grounded when it comes to this topic, okay? That's what I'm hoping for. Now, I'm not going to do this all the time. I'm a Hebrew Israelite guy, but I might get into this more because of its relation to Hebrew Israelism, all right? Now, another 2 websites I'm going to give you, and I know some people don't like these websites, but they have some good things, okay? pick and discern. ICR.org. I love them. Institute for Creation Research and AnswersInGenesis.org. Just type in UFO or alien, and they've got a bunch of really helpful articles from smaller to longer. Now on to the old Earth guys, reasons to believe resources. I have a book they wrote called Lights in the Sky and Little Green Men. Very helpful. Get it. Lights in the Sky and Little Green Men, as well as a couple of DVDs. But let me get to those in a second. They have another book called Improbable Planet. A little bit different, but that relates to how this planet is unique. And so basically life is here and not everywhere else. And that's a really good book. Also, it has good apologetics value, intelligent design apologetics value. Is There Life Out There is another RTB resource, Reasons to Believe. Go to their website. I think it's reasons.org, if I'm not mistaken. And they have another talk where it's Greg Kokel and Hugh Ross and a number of other brothers called the R UFO Hypothesis. That's a DVD. Watch that. Now, I'm going to mention some other books now here. And these books, I cannot vouch 100% for all of them because some of these I just got myself and I have not went through all of them, but I know they're Christian resources on the topic. So the other ones I just mentioned, more yeah. The next one I'm still looking through, okay? So we're learning about this together. Here's some books, though. The Facts on UFOs by John Ankerberg and John Weldon. Little booklet, very helpful. Encountering ETI, Aliens and Avatar in the Americas. Another book. Fallen Angels, Giants, UFO Encounters in the New World Order. I'm a little scared of that one. My guess is it's not one I'll probably ever recommend again. I'm just telling you, I've just discovered it. I'm going to look at it. My guess is I'm going to think it's wacky, and I don't mean to diss them, but like some of the stuff I've seen by Chuck Missler and Mark Eastman, and I like some of the work they do in other areas, but it's just a little too wacky and wonky for my tastes, and I don't think all of it's very well sourced and founded and stuff, and I know people that like them, no diss to Chuck or anything like that, but the stuff along that lines I think has a lot of problems in it. The Dark Side of the Supernatural, What Is of God and What Isn't. Crash Go the Chariots, an older resource but really good. He did a follow-up sequel to that called The Chariots Still Crash. Clifford Wilson. Come Sail Away, UFO Phenomenon in the Bible. That's Guy Malone's book. He has one book that I'm aware of. The Paranormal Conspiracy, The Truth About Ghosts, Aliens, Mysterious Beings, and the Deepest Longings of Your Soul. I like the way they approach that. And then I'm going to recommend two secular resources. A Journey to Planet Sanity DVD. Lots of cursing. Not something I can recommend without any kind of warning, but oh my gosh, it's so funny. In the last mid-20 point, the climax of the movie is a 20-minute ride where they have a guy who claims to be half alien. He claims that his mother was artificially inseminated by an alien with Prophet Yahweh in a van. And they're arguing, and they're going to go summon UFOs together. And the funny thing is, this guy who claims to be half alien and Prophet Yahweh hate each other. So the whole ride, they're fighting with each other because they each think the other one's a fraud. It is the funniest 20 minutes I've ever seen because the guy filming it is very funny, and it's funny. And I'm going to show you just a real quick clip from my phone, and oh man, it's just so funny. It's too funny. But I mean, it's not best to show from my phone, but you know, it's okay. It's only one thing I'm showing from my phone, and like I said, there might be a little bit of cursing here, but here. Let me. Okay, so here's Prophet Yahweh, okay? So you guys ready for this? I do want to show this little clip why I'm giving these resources. Actually, let me give the other one, which is a book by evolutionists, so I'm not all about that life, but they have some good science in it. It's called UFOs, Chemtrails, and Aliens, What Science Says. And by the way, in that book, they do mention Prophet Yahweh. Okay, so with that, let me show this. All right.
Self-proclaimed master UFO caller, Prophet Yahweh. And these dead beings, they coming. They are coming. They're gonna come. I mean, they're here, really. And this dude loves to hear himself talk. All women are raised to be whores. That was a violent homosexual. I'm gonna try my best to take your life. Man, you believe scientists, man. You know, you're crazy as a best bug, man. You sound okay. You sound like you like penises up in you. It's like it took me about 20 years to put in hair on. I just saying, no.
All right, so it's pretty funny. What do you think of those clips? Boo, I sent you some clips from
Yes.
A Journey to Planet Sanity. What did you think of those, bro?
I mean, it's it's very, very funny. It's pretty vulgar, the stuff that he was saying to the guy. The thing with the two noses and the guy's reaction was pretty funny. You had another clip where a guy, I think he was supposed to, somehow he was going to be hooked up with an alien. He was going to go on a date, and the female alien didn't show up, and the guy references it back to Prophet Yahweh. You know,
Yeah, it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be the spirit of Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, go ahead, let that play.
So Marilyn Monroe didn't show up, but he references back to Prophet Yahweh. Even a no-show is a form of communication to me. Oh, man. And here's one more Prophet Yahweh clip, and then I'm going to freestyle. So this is a good thing. It's a good thing. This. And see, that guy claims that his mother was artificially inseminated by an alien. And what's so funny is he's the guy who goes head to head with Prophet Yahweh, and they have a little battle where each of them try to call down an alien. And for the climax of the movie, and oh my goodness, it is so funny. But again, not exactly a Christian film. But if you want to get into this and see how it's fraudulent, check that out. All right, so Abu, final words before we do this closing freestyle, my man. And yes, we may cover this again, as well as the alien stuff in particular. What do you say, bro?
Oh, man, I'm almost speechless at this point. I'm just going to say that this was a lot of fun doing this. It's a very interesting subject. It certainly lived up to my expectation that this was going to be fun, as Justice himself expected as well.
Well, I want to thank you for introducing me to Prophet Yahweh. And once I started looking down the rabbit hole, I started finding stuff you hadn't seen yet. And we were just like, what in the world is this? And it got very interesting very quickly.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, so with that, I'm ready to freestyle, Boo. What about you, bro? What you got going on, bro?
Nothing much. I'm just looking forward to the freestyle, and then I'm heading off to sleep. That's it. Beginning of the weekend.
So you want to stick around for the freestyle, eh?
Well, the first one was great, and I'm not trying to flatter you. That was the most entertaining Vocab Malone freestyle I've heard in the years that I've watched you do this. Very funny. The segment that you had on the UFOs and the probing and all that, it was very funny.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. All right, well, I'm going to turn you down, and guys, let's close the show with a freestyle. I love y'all, and this has been fascinating. Tomorrow, I had to reschedule the live stream. It's not going to be a live stream tomorrow. It's going to be a fantastic video where I'm talking to GMS Dallas. And you're going to see how they don't really like to answer questions. It's going to be about a 35-minute video. You do not want to miss it. And then Sunday night, we're going to do our monthly book club. And for that, I'm going to read a book proving that the Civil War was not all about tariffs, as Southern pro-Confederate apologists sometimes make out to be. So very fascinating stuff. We like I say, we like to look into the overlooked and serve the underserved. So with that, got a new Soko beat, and I'm very excited for this. Let's go! Practicing Zen, yeah. They not gonna win. It's like a lot of demons, deceiving men and women. Yeah, let's begin again. The dude says you need to get cleansed within. Check it out now. What you doing again? Oh, like that. man joke or cinema. This dude says your butt needs an enema. He earned his nickname, plus back in the day he had a flame. Know what I'm saying? He's insane, but I still love him. What's up, the name? Prophet is a false one. Here I come now we got a hot one, got a caught one. Not talking about no gun, talking about we all on the run from the judgment, from the true Yahweh. That's what's happening in the day of the Lord. So don't be bored. Listen, this dude talking about he scored an alien summon coming down. Man, what's up, man? The dude was a clown. I don't mean to diss, but some of his claims ain't make no sense. Now, don't get pissed off. I know some of y'all think I'm soft and that I should believe all aliens are demons. Maybe some, but too many cats be scheming, seeming fraudulent. Got to remember, we can't forget. Nah, it's ill. They not so chill. Copying the day the earth stood still. From 51, claiming demons. Area 51, Route 51, whatever it was. I don't know, cuz I see an alien. Somebody called a fuzz or the FBI. Why would they lie? Look to the sky before you die. It's Jesus Christ. He's the only one cracking. Vocab Malone, grab the mic and I'm rapping. The beat is slapping from SoCo. Why you claim you saw a UFO? Oh, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. That was a dope beat, but hold up. We're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. You earned it. We got a lot of good super chats tonight. SoCo with another hot beat. Let's go! Yo, here we go. Got that old school flavor, yeah. Got that old school, yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the super chat, JJ Har and Eliza J. Yes, y'all. 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 Come inside, dance hall vibe. Yes, y'all, I'm down with the tribe. The tribe called Quest. The beat is fresh. Deliver the rhymes like UPS. Oh my goodness, not a UFO. Did a show with the Buddha bro. AA, run the track like ASIC. Shout out to the super chat from Basic. Lace it, lace the beat. It's a feeling like summer heat with the summer freaks back in 94. Hey yo, what they looking for? What was he right? Tonight's the night. Yahweh said your appetite needs to be cleansed out. No doubt. It's kinda nasty in the house. Took you to a back room inside the bathroom. He said you need to get a vacuum up inside. Hey yo, what's up? Man, that's gross, make me throw up. And Chuck and Earl, they from another world. He said they came from boys and girls. But they ain't do it for the king of the Jews. They did it for the news. At 5 o'clock, the beat done rock. I walk down the street, call me your wife, or maybe a day go. Connect like a Lego. Check it out now where the show go. Yo, it's a UFO, an IFO. I don't really know, bro. Listen, man, you can't see with your eye when it fly. It don't mean that it's an alien who drives from another planet 55 light years per hour. Yes, indeed. Listen, some of y'all get so sour when I say I don't believe, but it's all good because I did receive the true extraterrestrial. It's Jesus the Christ, he's special, bro. That's the incarnation for salvation for every single nation. Whether Jamaican, Latino, or Haitian, really don't matter, it's true. Hey yo, check it out, who's the real seer? That's more important than who's a believer. Aliens in South Korea and North Korea, onomatopoeia. Bada boom, bada bing, bada pow. Don't believe in the UFO now. They out there with the cow in the middle of a circle with an owl. What? Doing what? Looking like Urkel. Did I do that? Had a crop circle. Why they travel for millions of years just to do that? Create farmer tears. Make a circle in your crop. Don't make sense. Real hip hop, we bring it. down your block. The beat don't stop, it's electroshock, yeah. Should I do another for the sister and brother? What you think? Should I spill that ink? You guys want to hear one more? One more? Should I do one more? Should I do one more? I do got a couple more beats. Let's see what other beats he's got. Let's see. Let's just check. Nah. Oh, that's kind of dope. Ooh, that's kind of dope. Let's do one more. One more. Because this is... Soko brought the heat. Hey, shout out to Basic. Well, if you guys are bringing the super chats, man, I'm going to do it then. Ooh, yeah. What? What is this? Who made this? Man, Soko, you killed it. Yo. Now I got to rip. No flying disc. I don't believe it. Nah. Lot of counterfeits. Nah. It ain't legit. So some of y'all, man, you need to quit. Hey, yo. It's not academic. It's probably really a demonic spirit. Hear it. Did they clear it out? And into my ow, it'll make you shout. Oh, no doubt. Peep this out. What's it all about? Yo, don't believe in evolution. That's why I'm no intrusion of the alien in illusion. Get this book so you can be bruising, cruising. Who believe in that? Check it out now. I got the black book project, blue book. Open it up and take a look. Yeah, lot of experiments. Can't listen to your experience, so you claim to be a contactee. And listen, no, it never happened to me. Why would an alien travel, and then unravel a tube to put in your butt? Why would they do that? Yo, what's up? That's a far way to travel from Uranus just to look inside Uranus. Get it, spit it, please don't quit it. Vocab Malone never been counterfeited. I rip it, yo, out the park like Mansell. I don't got no alien books on my mantle, unless it's the kind that I like to pump. That's the ones that do debunk. So what's up with the super chat from the super people? Got the super rap, got a Batman hat on the hat, got a logo Jawa, and that it's a sandcrawler. Yes, y'all are. People out now, back in the day was a baller. Listen to the scholar, like Michael Heiser, he'll grab the collar of the alien autopsy. Soko right on top of the beat. Hey yo, listen, I don't need a girdle. Some of y'all believing in crop circles. Anyone can make that in the middle of the night. It don't take an alien with the bright light and the saucer. Let me make you an offer. Why? Don't be a scoffer, or do. When it comes to this fact, they're not true. Listen, I don't care about the blue book. It's a lot of government stuff. That's true, dude. Hey yo, ripping the mic. One, peep this out now from here to 51. Got the piano in the back of me. Y'all claiming alien telepathy or telepathy or telepathic? Don't really know. Grab the mic and rap it, snap it, clap it. Yeah, it's nice. Peep this out now, beans and rice. What I be eating? Now I'm speeding. Peep this out now, y'all be meeting an alien. They say, take me to your leader. I'll drink a 2-liter of water, or maybe some milk. These aliens coming out the hill. Where were these aliens hundreds of years ago? We ain't know about no UFO, bro, until the modern writing diction. It's science fiction. Back in the day, did y'all hear me? It used to be a lot of fairies. Should we do one more? I'll tell you what, I'll do one more that we'll close on. So like while I'm rapping, I'll just flip off the beat and then we'll be done. Because this was fun. It was good. You guys are good people. Next time Soko comes around, definitely hook him up because he hooks us up. And, you know, I can only rap about aliens so much. But let's see what other beats he got. Let's do that one right here. All right. Last one, y'all. Thank you for the super chats, for real. Yeah. Shout out to Abu. Shout out to Soko. Fun times. Got my water, not no Budweiser. Some of y'all need to listen to Heiser. His first name is Michael. Believing in aliens will drive you psycho. Nightly cycle. Watching History Channel. They all in your anal cavity. With the anti-gravity boots. Aliens bringing the troops to steal our loot and bring peace to your planet. Man, I don't really understand it. Some of y'all like going insane. I can't believe no random farmer's claims. There's another way to explain what he saw. So listen up, dame and dude at. Can we forget some of these aliens claim to be a vet of an outer space planetary war, and now they're like a pawn taking a tour? Man, they grab you when you snore. But listen, what do I believe you for? Some of y'all too crazy. The government, man, they don't pay me. Nah, I do this on my own. Spit this poem named Vocab Malone. From Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada. Listen, homeboy, why yada. Slap some of you for believing everything. So here I come while I'm rapping. While I'm rapping is what's happening. The beat is dope. I'm falling off right now. I think I'm done right about there. Alright, that was good, y'all. We'll cover this again. We'll see y'all again. Be sure to come back where we make apologetics fun again. Shout out to Abu. Shout out to you. Shout out to the Street Apologist Squad, Mod Squad, Liza J, Nate. Love y'all. Rock